So it's extremely important that if we want to control lust, from verse 41 to 43, you will see that Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that regulating one's senses and engaging the mind properly. What does it mean to regulate the senses? We
Song.
all eat, the sense of taste. We all eat. So we have to see how to regulate our eating habits. If we are not conscious of regulating the eating habits, what will happen is that you will overeat or you'll eat the wrong thing and then the body will get sick and your consciousness will be altered because the food is a transfer of consciousness. And we have to regulate the sense of hearing. You'll be surprised. You can turn on the TV and you can turn on the radio, you can turn on the music. Every time you hear something, it goes into your ears, you are feeding into the sense of hearing. And what you feed the sense of hearing is going to create an alteration of the mind. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, you have to regulate what you listen. Like for example, right now in the United States, if you turn on the news, or if you read the news, you're likely to go a little insane. There is always something that is disturbing, that is heartbreaking, and it's very difficult right now. So I always encourage people, don't read the news, don't watch the TV, just focus on your life. So we have to regulate what we listen to, because when we listen to something, we're giving birth to an idea. If you don't want to give birth to fear, then don't listen to fear. And fear is what sells in the world. So we have to regulate the senses, Krishna is saying.
Songs.
Very important, huh?
Très important.
Regulating the senses and then engaging the mind. How do we engage the mind? If we are not consciously choosing to do the right thing and doing good in the world, then the mind will find ways to engage in things that are not meaningful whatsoever. Just like a child, if you do not engage the child, put some walls around it, put some nice blankets, put some toys. If you don't keep them engaged, what will happen is they will go around the house and tear everything down and knock everything off the tables. So the mind has to be constantly engaged. The moment you don't have your mind engaged, it'll find something to do to destroy your sanity. There is a common analogy given of a genie. I don't know, I'm sure they have this in Europe too. He was praying to God, one farmer, that I have so much to do and I need some help. Can you please help me, God? You know, I can't do it alone. I'm getting old and it's too much to do. So God decided to fulfill his wishes and give him a genie and give him to him in a bottle. He said, when you open this, you'll have somebody that comes out and you'll be able to help you with all the things that you need to get done. And he was very excited and happy. So he opened the bottle and the genie said, what do you want me to do now? I'm happy. Please, voila, engage me. He said, please go plow the fields, harvest the land. So he went and he plowed the field, harvested the land, and he came back. What do I do now? Do the dishes, clean the yard. So in this way, one assignment after another assignment got done, and the genie came back for more things to do. So no matter how much responsibility was given, he just kept doing it and coming back and doing it. And eventually, the farmer didn't have any work to do. And then this genie was going to drive him crazy. What do you want me to do now? Can I do something? I'm bored. Can I do something? I'm bored. I don't want to be here. Can I do something? I think Durga Devi can understand because she has a child who gets bored very easily because their mind is all over the place. I am bored, mommy. Can I go play video games? Can I do this? Can you do that? And they just need to be engaged. So the mind has to be constantly engaged. Otherwise, what happens? It will drive you nuts. It'll drive you crazy.
Very
So this is why Krishna is telling Arjuna that the mind has to be engaged. If it is not engaged, it is going to drive you insane and drive you to insanity. Because if we do not engage the mind's nature, the nature of the mind is to be active. So if we do not keep the mind active, it almost feels valueless and dysfunctional, and then it just becomes more and more crazy for an individual to live with it. So, any questions before I carry on to the next part? Any questions about the mind? Any questions about the senses? That doesn't make sense. All the yoga texts in this world, they teach you about how to engage the mind, to control the mind, to subdue the mind, because it is the most powerful sense that we all have. It's called the sixth sense. Then I'll just explain a little bit about the mind, because we are going to cover that in the next topic, but we don't have too much time. So in the next 10 minutes. So there is mind that is active and restless and constantly thinking and seeking engagement and distracted. That mind is in the mode of passion. And that is where the mind is most active, in the mode of passion. So that's what we're talking about, engaging the mind, because the mind is, by character, by nature, is in the mode of passion. And then the other mind, another functional area of the mind, is in the mode of ignorance or illusion, when the mind is dull, becomes lazy, unmotivated, and stagnant. You will see the mind doesn't want to do anything, doesn't find motivation in life, is not going anywhere. And that mind leads to darkest parts of our existence, because the mind is not in the mode of passion and not in the mode of goodness. It's in ignorance, so it just becomes, it eats at you inside.
good.
So you can gauge your own mind. And also you'll keep this, the mind in the mode of darkness is constantly repeats the same events in the life. It will not be active. It'll continuously say the same story again and again and again and again and again. And it's a never-ending saga of the exact same story. And then there is mind, which is in the mode of goodness. And that happens by engaging the mind properly, where the mind is stable, it is, it can see clarity, and the mind becomes peaceful and still. So that's why when the mind is engaged, it can rise to the mode of goodness. When the mind is not engaged, then it can go to the mode of illusion or darkness. So that's why mind by nature is mode of passion. It can choose to go up or it can choose to go down. Just think of it like your child. When you engage the child, they will become so happy. Oh, I have so much to do. I did this, I did this. You give them assignments and they're so good. And if you don't give them any assignments, you tell them you're grounded. They go to their room, they become depressed, they start breaking things. They don't want to talk to you and they just want to sleep, they want to eat. So you can see how the mind is constantly moving up and down, but through engagement, it can always keep going up and up and up. So the intelligence is the mother, and the mind is the child. So intelligence has to figure out how to engage the mind. What does that mean? It means that you must ask, what is the best possible thing that could make me happy? that could make the soul happy. So then the intelligence asks those questions, such as maybe if I go for a walk, maybe if I go and do some meditation, maybe I should do some yoga, maybe I should read. So always, or maybe I should do some kirtan, maybe I should, invite some friends and have a potluck together and have nice prasadam. So in this way, the intelligence rationalizes to find ways to lift the environment of the mind so that the mind does have proper engagement, but it has to be navigated and guided and vetted by the intelligence. So the intelligence decides what is the best possible engagement because the intelligence is the most rational part of our brain. Why do you have a brain? Did you ask yourself? God, I don't need a brain. If I don't have a brain, then I don't have to think and I don't have to do anything. Why did you make this choice of giving us brains? When we come into this world, we get a full package. We get a package deal. When you buy a car, when you buy a new car, you get a package. As soon as you buy the car, especially in America, they will say, would you like a 5-month warranty on the brakes? Would you like a 2-year warranty on the engine? Would you like a 5-year warranty on the transmission? And they try to sell you every possible thing that they can, and you end up, instead of spending $20,000, you end up spending $40,000 because they upsell you on so many things that you don't even need. You don't really have to purchase it. You don't really have to engage with that. If I sell you a computer and don't put any software inside of it, it's an empty computer, beautiful box, everything looks perfect, and there is no software, there is no Word, there is no, there is no Photoshop, there is no, none of the software that you need there is to run the computer. Would you buy that computer? Do you think it's a complete computer? Or imagine building a city without any roads. So it will be kind of difficult. So similarly, when this body is created, this body is the machine, is the hardware, and the mind is the software. That this software helps to function, but
It
you just have to know how to use the software. Like Amelie knows how to use the software. So her computer doesn't crash. But if someone didn't know and you start messing around with it, the computer, you'll be lost. So every hardware comes with a software. For example, we, the living entity, is consciousness. The root of consciousness is us. We are the root of consciousness. And the mind is the route of consciousness. For example, Buddha is present in front of me, okay, and he's listening to me, and he's thinking, oh, Vedaji is so boring right now. I wish I could be sleeping in my bed. So he's physically here, but his energy is already in bed right now because it's too late. So wherever our mind is, that is where we are. Because mind is the route of our consciousness. Okay? We are the root of consciousness, but it needs a pathway. What are you going to do with this consciousness? It needs to go somewhere. So the mind is the pathway, the route of consciousness.
when we say